Herald NOW. Time now to talk business with our partners 2 Degrees. And Garth Bray joins me at the desk and we're talking gold mining. Garth, there's a fast track application that's been submitted, dropped.
Dropped in rather than dropped off. Or,
yes.
Dropped off rather than let go of. Yeah.
Yes,
by Santana
indeed.
Gold, right?
Right.
Which is it's an Australian miner, and they've listed here as well. And they say that they would want to create a massive gold mine in Otago, central Otago, the Dunstan Ranges near Bendigo. Basically, they claim they're promoting it as the biggest sort of find in 40 years. And so yesterday they basically put this application through 9,400 pages. I haven't read all of them. We left that to Patrick Smelly, our founding editor. But effectively that puts some timelines around this because of the way the fast-track approvals legislation is drafted. The EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, now has some time to look at that, check it's all in order. Then they take a couple of months, 3 months to appoint a panel. And then really by about June 30 next year, you'd expect there has to be a decision, yes or no on this, which means if it's a green light, this thing could be not in production, but obviously under construction in the second half of next year.
So under the fast-track legislation, did the public get to have a say? Is this the same mine that Sam Neill was posting about not long ago of not wanting to see this in central Otago?
Yeah, well, and I'm sure it'll be the first of quite a few because there's quite a lot of prospective activity and a lot of junior miners from other countries taking a look at that region now, I suppose because they're looking at how this project goes. But yeah, I mean, effectively it streamlines things, it limits the number of people that can take part in that, but you could still look at other fast-track approval processes like the Port of Auckland that had about 90 different correspondents, iwi, local bodies and so on. It's really just putting it all in one place, so everything, the heritage values, the environmental stuff, the planning, the resource, everything all gets dealt with in one process, so it's a one-stop shop as much as it's a fast track. And I guess this one they are hoping to try and push, obviously. They're promoting it. They're asking for about a 14-year consent plus the life of the mine, and they're saying this could be worth, 5.8 billion in extra GDP to New Zealand, about another 350 jobs a year. So if that's the aim that this is measured by, then that'll factor pretty strongly in any considerations. Obviously, 9,400 pages, a lot to look at.
Yeah, absolutely. You need some speed reading to get through that one.
Yeah.
Westpac posted its result, but there's also some interesting detail in there about how mortgage holders are faring, and it's kind of positive.
Yeah, I thought this was interesting. There, I guess probably because post-COVID people have tried to get ahead a little bit. We know that the economy has been tricky and that's not always been the necessary, but they've noticed an uptick in the share of mortgage holders that are at least 3 months ahead on repayments, and they're saying their average customer with a mortgage now is about 11 months ahead on repayments. So quite a cushion if things turn, and I guess they're taking that as an indication that the economic recovery that we've all been waiting for is slowly getting out of the blocks and rolling. They certainly noticed a nice tidy profit, 13%, 1.2 billion I think here. I think it was more like about 7 billion across the Tasman for their parent. But interestingly, their net lending was up as well, about 4%, about 5% extra mortgage lending, about 2% extra business lending. And that, I guess, comes as we're sort of seeing Centrix, the credit reporting agency today, saying it's seeing a lift in lending as well. So bit of credit starting to circulate in the economy.
Yeah, and I wonder whether that will then flow through to the property market, and off we go again with the next cycle.
Or straight to all those scam ads that you see on Facebook and Google, because the CEO, Catherine McGrath at Westpac, took a shot at them yesterday as well, said, hey, your efforts to combat fake ads and so on have been pretty piecemeal. Right. I guess, one might say this is a bank that not always everybody loves having a crack at another institution, social media that people might dislike more.
Deflecting attention.
But we've all seen those fake ads. I might have seen you in one of them.
Yes, and it is definitely a fake one. I am not going to give you unsolicited financial advice on Facebook, all right?
Good to know, yeah. So I guess they're saying, hey, fraud efforts you need to crack. Good opportunity, I suppose, if you're posting a result to sort of throw a little something else out there as well.
Yeah, and now, what else were we going to talk about? The bank IT systems, they're doing some stress testing. The RBNZ wants to know that their IT systems are up for the challenge.
I guess even the fact that they're asking this question is maybe chucking a bit of shade on them, saying, hey guys, get your houses in order. There's, I guess, a bit of a thought maybe in the industry that behind that facade, a lot of bank IT systems, some of them are pretty old, pretty legacy, and sort of being held together. And I guess we've got this open banking phenomenon coming soon, which is going to try and sort of open things up a little bit more. So the RBNZ tests the banks to basically say, hey, could you handle a big crisis? They put a challenge to them and said, hey, what if the unemployment doubled 10% or whatever, or there was a major sort of geopolitical shock? Yep, you've got the capital to be able to handle this, but what if you had a major IT system upgrade fail? What if your legacy system, you didn't get around to replacing it? What if you had trouble with the people that are trying to fix this up for you? Could you handle that? They have identified that those 5 big banks would suffer some sort of loss of performance over some time, and that they would sort of, they need to basically keep an eye on that. But basically a tick of health for our major banks, which, given their 91% of the lending that they do to people, is probably a good thing.
Yeah, and while everyone's stopping to watch the Melbourne Cup, you'll be watching the RBA, right?
For a flatline response, no, I don't think so today. Not expected to move anything today, the Reserve Bank in Australia here.
Thank you so much, Garth Bray from Business Desk. Thanks to our partners at 2 Degrees. Coming up,